Chill for 9211 coming at you with another live video. I just wanted to touch up on the monsters of Dark Magician specifically. It can also target other decks, other builds, but this one specifically for Dark Magician. If you know anything about my channel, I specialize in Dark Magician. I've been playing Dark Magician since it came out, since 2002. I stopped playing, obviously, but I restarted again on, I think, officially it was like December 2020, something like that, January. But I had started collecting early, I think, February or May of 2020 when COVID first hit. So by the time August started, Magical Heroes was out, and I came back at a perfect time. Um, so I just want to touch up on the monsters and show some advanced plays for people who are willing to play top tier style, meaning you're unaffected by your opponent's hand traps. Also, just about anything, like they could blow up your field and it doesn't affect you at all. There's a lot of people hate the cards that I play because they don't understand it, and a lot of the time it's because they lose to me, and that would make sense because if everyone's with you, it's a sign that you're with like them. Whenever you destroy everyone, that changes it. They're not gonna like you. So, or your cards. Now, if you had a deck that was worthless, um, you would think that they would like you as well because they can beat you anytime they duel against you. So, it's when they hate you and when they hate your deck that you reach top tier level. So I'll explain real quick. So you have a lot of decks that play Dark Magician at 3. And to be honest with you, Dark Magician at 3 is a sign that the deck is either rogue or meta. Rogue meaning the deck is at probably like an $80 deck. Um, and meta meaning it is a staple for a Dark Magician deck. However, it's not top tier style. Top tier style means when you duel against a Dark Magician deck, your winning ratio is not 50%. It's not a 50-50. In case you didn't know, Dark Magician decks struggle to win against Dark Magician decks. It's one of their worst nightmares. When you go top tier, your win rate against a Dark Magician deck is around 90. And to be honest with you, I have a lot of videos and proof this isn't just all talk. I've dueled maybe like over 80 duels against Dark Magician decks, and I've lost a single duel to them, but I've never really ever lost a match. Um, there was one exception of a good friend that I have, Magic Libra, but the deck profile that he was playing was the same deck profile that I play. So it's whoever gets the cards first. So it's the exact mirror. Every single card for card that I had, he was playing. So at that case, it could be anyone's games. If I go first, I set up, I'll win. If he goes first, he sets up, he wins. But in a ratio of dueling against the overall Dark Magician decks, I've never lost. So it all has to do with a top tier style. So I'll explain. In order to go top tier, you would have room for more interruptions, more negations, more ways to walk through hand traps, and for that case, everything's played at a minimal, meaning just what you need, nothing extra. This is what makes it a top tier style. And if you don't believe me, try it for yourself, and you'll see for yourself. But if you see the results, don't complain. Like if you start winning a lot, if you don't break as much, or if you break and you pull out of break hands, just accept it, man. Just accept it. Like, whoa, I had never seen this before. I have trash and I still won. Why? How did that go? You need to stop complaining. Stop denying the truth. It's just what it is, and you gotta move forward. And you gotta keep winning. So, so a lot of people change their decks because their win ratio is bad. But it's okay to change your deck just because you win a lot and you want to try different avenues. That's what you're trying to reach. So not, more than 99% of Dark Magician players suffer of brick hands. They also suffer of lost streak. It's like a cursed deck. For me, that's not the case. But here's an example: two Dark Magician, a Dark Magician girl. So to recap real quick, the Dark Magician, getting it in the graveyard or in your hand or with Eternal Soul, there's the makes the deck live. So um, you you want to see it in your graveyard or in your hand so that all your cards are live. So that is the main goal. People tell you they don't want to play Apprentice Illusion because it's bricky because it lets you get a Dark Magician to your hand or to the graveyard. But guess what? That's what you want to speed things up. In your first turn, no excuses. You want a Dark Magician either in your hand, field, or graveyard. And guess what? With this profile, it works. So it's always active. This is why I have high success rate of Dragon Knight. And I've shown many videos, many proofs that I can special summon 3 Dragon Knights per single duel, not a match. I could do 6 per match. Per duel, 3. I could do it in the first turn, it's not a problem. So the reason for this is because I have more than 7 ways to special summon it compared to everyone else that doesn't know how to play Dark Magician. Obviously, all the main followers that have millions of followers, thousands, um, the people who are popular, they get followed. But just because someone's popular doesn't mean he's good. It just means he's popular. It's kind of a car. You could have a popular car, but the car could be trash. Once you get into a good car, it might not be as popular because you have to come to the realization wise people are a handful and the simple are everyone else. It's like the wise are like, I don't know the exact ratio, but they could be like a 5%. Everyone else is not. So if you don't realize that, it's like when they say someone's special and someone not special. It's like gold. Gold is rare, it's unique, and that's where the value comes from because it's less. But there's a lot more dirt and rocks. So this is what drives up the price. This includes the rarity of cards. Whenever the number is less, the price goes up. The quantities, the accessibility, also for vehicles, you have like Koenigsegg and certain models like the 101, or even when you get to McLaren vehicles like the T50S, those there's only like 25 cars in the world compared to other ones that there's millions or thousands. The price of it goes way up. So it's the same concept. So you have one Dark Magician girl, because she comes out with a lot of cars like um, Secrets of Dark Magic. You can fuse. You can also utilize her as a brick to discard to activate effects. You can also dump her. You can bring her back with Salvation. Um, Dark Magician deck. It can be a Dark Magician deck without the Dark Magician girl. And you can even try one without the Dark Magician. Like you could play a Dark Magician deck without a Dark Magician. And people tell you like, oh no, it's not a Dark Magician deck if you don't have a Dark Magician girl. It's not a Dark Magician deck if you don't have a Dark Magician. All of those are lies. The deck can be a Dark Magician deck without Dark Magician. It can be a Dark Magician deck without a Dark Magician girl. The question is, will you win the duel? You see? And then that's the important question. Because you can have 3 Dark Magicians, 3 Dark Magician girls, and not win a single duel. And then you can have none of them and still win, because you could play cards that are oriented to Dark Magician without them, or you can find a way to bring a Dragon Knight without having Dark Magician. So um, I'm sure there's a way. There's always a way to do things. Um, there's traps that let you allow you to bring a monster from infusion deck. There's always ways, avenues. The consistency of what changes everything in the one ratio. So the reason why you play 3 Apprentice when you could play 2 is because the deck requires to have multiple avenues to victory. So the Dark Magician comes out, one gets banished, you have more. Dark Magician girl, they usually trigger her to banish her. Who cares? You should still be able to draw more cards from other avenues. If something gets banished, you can't cry, you just move forward. So sometimes you have monsters like on TCG, Red Eyes, Dark Dragoon, or you have monsters over here on Master Duel that are 4,000. Um, how do you deal with them 3,000? The Dark Magician deck, Blue Eyes White Dragon decks, how do you deal with them? You have to be able to boost at any time, and you already know what that means. 4,500 standard. The insignificant rod, he becomes 3,600 with these. If you discard all two, it's way too much power, man. So it's two. Let's see here. You get two, four. So you could go all the way to like 8,500 of attack. Because if you discard two, he automatically becomes 6,500. With one, 4,500. It's believe me. I had my fair share of OTKs during my opponent's turn and during my turn. So um, you want to have multiple avenues to get rid of your opponent. You can't just have two or three. This is why the deck is rogue, because all you have is a circle. It's like a pyramid, like Loza was saying. Um, it's just three avenues, and that's it. And that even though that way is the way he plays, that's fine. But for the percentage of winning rate, that's totally different. You need like 15 pyramids to select from the 15 you want. Which one? It's like getting a menu. You wanna become full, and you have many uh, different recipes on a book to achieve getting full. Do you want a pizza? Do you want a burger? Do you want a soup? And once you have multiple avenues, more than you need, this is what makes it a top tier. Because once they start getting negated, even though let's say you had 15 avenues, they lowered it down to like 10 avenues only, but you still have those 10 avenues. But when you have a system like Loza was saying for the pyramid 3, what happens when they stop the pyramid? Then your deck is dead because you don't have other avenues. And this is what makes you rogue. This is what makes you meta. This is why meta decks lose and rogue decks lose. Um, Top tier decks are not affected. Just they just have way too many avenues. So the yeah, you could just even from them, they're level 6. You can bring Naruto. It becomes an Omni negate for spells. It's so easy to bring out, man. You could boost. You could just discard them. There's just so much going on. And then you have the three Magician Souls. There are another staple. Um, and you already know what it does. It dumps a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Growth to the graveyard. You can either bring him to draw more cards by discarding Spell and Trap, or you can have um, the Dark Magician or Dark Magician Growth come out on the field in case your Eternal's gone. You can still activate your circle because you're just bringing it on board. Now the top tier play for this one would be this. An example of what I was saying last time is these are the top tier plays for it. So I'm looking for the cards as we speak. Okay, so let's say for instance you summon one and they trigger an effect um, to blow it up, um, or they do whatever, because it happens, man. When you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, all your cards get destroyed. This is a channel where we don't cater your feelings. We're not here to make you feel nice, to laugh. We're here to destroy our opponents and make you win. If you want it to feel nice, you should contact, I don't know, your girlfriend or someone. But this channel is not for that. This channel is just straight destruction. So I could do other videos if you want me to make you feel good, but this videos are oriented towards Yu-Gi-Oh only. So you summon it, it gets destroyed. So then this card is expensive. It went lower, but people don't want to buy it at a lower price because the Ys are little. So the unwise are a lot. So they're gonna wait till the card goes up again over $100 like before. So I play the restage. You don't have to play it, but the restage makes my magician souls work hard. Like I have said before, like a worker, if you have a worker that's close to being perfect, meaning he's young, he does everything you tell him. See, people that never have a business or never been a boss, they don't understand any of these things. They are the high percentage. They don't know much. But if you think outside the box, you can use something and overwork it, and somebody might be like, "Well, isn't that slavery?" Well, slavery, you don't pay him. He just works for free. But someone you can, if you paid a lot of money for it, it only makes sense to take out a lot of work out of it. Or else, why did you buy something expensive? It should do. If you spend a lot, it should do a lot. It's a very simple concept. So, Magician's Restage brings it back, and guess what? You can trigger it, and as soon as the ash blossom, so they already blew them up, and then they ash blossom you right afterwards. So you got two interruptions slash negations. Um, so what end up what ends up happening um, is you can combine with stacking anything you want first, and then you can goblin into it. So that means it doesn't matter if you blow it up, you're still getting what you want. So look, you summon it, they blew it up. That didn't matter. You brought it back. Then you stack. You send to the graveyard. And remember, you already resolved the effect of the Dark Magician or Dark Magician Grow in the graveyard. Then you trigger effect, and then you activate it. They Ash Blossom you. Two interruptions, two negations. Even though they stopped you, it didn't stop you at all. It all automatically chained because he negated the effect, and then the card activates in the graveyard. It's a secondary effect, and you can get the right or the left hand. I recommend the right hand because the ratio is at 100%. It always resolves. The left hand does not because it's a trap, and they don't always play traps from the beginning. They have to set them first. But the right hand is a ratio at 100%. It always resolves. Even if they get past it, it doesn't matter. It resolves. So then at this point, you get the card to your hand. So what they did, it didn't do anything. And you can still goblin into the card you want, or guess what? You can still trigger the effect of Soul Servant in the graveyard to still draw your card. So if you recap, you have to do the total amount of plays of a card. So to be honest with you, I got them cheap. I think I got them like at $50 a piece when they barely came out. I know they were lower, but I didn't get them all at like a super high cheap price. This is from the original Magical Heroes. They were like 40, 35 or $40. Then I waited till I think they got to like 45, 50, and I bought a playset. So they went up to a maximum 150. So if you recap, you special, they popped, then you brought it back, activated. You stacked, and then they activated the second interruption of Ash, and it did absolutely nothing because you still drew the right hand, and then afterwards you have two more avenues to the card that you stacked. You have Upstart or you have Soul Servant. So if you do a total of what just happened, you have all you needed. All you really needed was these two. You needed those two to activate this effect. The rest of them you don't need them because you activate. He blows up special, and then you trigger effect, and the other card comes to you automatic. You don't even have this card. It just comes to you. And then with the Soul Servant stacking it, you can trigger it from the graveyard. So think about it. You went through two negations and you still have way more plays with two cards only. And people tell me like, oh, but you don't always have those cards in your hand. Yes, you do. It's a Dark Magician deck. If you don't know how to get those cards in your hand, maybe you should play another deck because you don't know how to play Dark Magician. This is a one-on-one basics, like putting on shoes. So, um, so you can even link from there to a Crawley and then draw two more cards. There's just a lot of avenues. The other one is a rod. So the way that the rod is played is this is the similar concept that you want to play. These are the cards that you want with the rod. So the rod gets you a spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Rod is like 95% always hand trapped. If you play Dark Magician, you know what I'm telling you is true. Rod never resolves. Rod has an effect to where when it goes to the graveyard, you can trigger it to get it again. That's why they did that. If you play a Dark Magician deck and you're praying for no hand traps, that means you suck. You suck and you're more likely losing all the time, which is normal because someone who sucks should lose. So you obviously Artemis, and then you get to get her back if you set a spell trap. So you get to use it again. So you already burned the card. He did it for no reason. You're still going to resolve it later. If you want to resolve it the first turn, the cards you would need to get is a Soul Servant, and you have 3, and there's a lot of ways to get it. You get drawn to the deck. Sometimes you draw them. Go to the calculator online, and it shows you the ratios. You can stack the card you want, and then trigger his effect. And if it doesn't resolve, spellbook it. Spellbook a knowledge, and you can draw into it. The other card is you can play them, and if you have a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, if they hand trap it, resolve it anyways. Chain to a secret, and you'll end up resolving it. The other one is with the Upstart Goblin, and then the other way is by having these already, because you're playing it and they activate effect to negate. But guess what? That card is getting these cards anyways, so you already have them. So it's like it did resolve. So he burned his card for no reason. So then you trigger, set Eternal, then Dark Magical Circle, and then don't forget to Artemis into it. Another common sequence that I play is I'll have a dead hand break on normal, and then they'll end up ashing, so it's bricked. The hand is bricked, like totally, and I'm supposed to lose like everybody else, but I don't. I normal. My only alternative, they negate it, and guess what? What I do is I link to an Artemis, and then from the Artemis it goes to the graveyard. I rod, then restage, bring them back, and then I'll end up linking to Crawley to draw 2 more cards, or in TCG, which is commonly seen in my videos, all Anaconda, and from there get Dragoon. If this card gets popped at any point, or I decide to discard it, guess what? You're automatically getting a restate, a right hand to negate. And people tell me like, oh, it's a bad card. To be honest with you, with Branded coming out, it's an excellent card. You're gonna Omni negate the first spell no matter what they play. Most of the time I burn them because people get hesitant and they play Super Poly. This burns Super Poly. And it burns a lot of other cards. I've had people play Soul Servant from the graveyard, and guess what? It burns it. Yep, it burns just about anything, even from the graveyard. Your first spell. If you have Naruto, which comes out commonly all the time, you burn the first one and you can relax. This one's the Omni second, so you burn 2. So, and this is, you're doing nothing. Your deck played normally. It wasn't like you tried to. It just did its thing. And usually it doesn't do it because you're forcing it. It does it in response to your opponent's negations. So by them negating you, they did absolutely nothing, and they just helped you get a stronger board. This is the top tier style. But if you look at the price, these are 2. I know this one went up, but this one's $1 or 2. This one's $1. And these used to be like $4, and I bought a playset of it. And then this one, they gave me a playset for free, and you're going against people who have $1,200 decks, and they're doing absolutely nothing to you. You have just full control of the board, um, and that's what it's about. So, moving on to the next card. Um, so in reality, every card you play shouldn't be resolved. It should be negated. Then you should chain. That is the top tier mentality. If you don't have that top tier mentality, then you're probably rogue or meta, meaning you're like everybody else. You're the high percentage of people. Another card that you play, the Alistair. So he does the same thing. If they try to negate him, you chain to special summon, or you can play. This is supposed to be the Magical Meltdown. You play Magical Meltdown first, and they negate it, and then you just summon him, and you get invocation anyways. In any case that you need to draw, you can summon the Artemis. Um, then afterwards, Spellbook draw 2 more cards, or yeah, you can even restage him and then restage her, and then go to the Crawley and draw 2 more cards, or you can, uh, yeah, there's just way too much you could do, and basically you're doing everything you want even after you got negated everything. And that's the whole concept of the top tier style. Basically your opponent is wasting all of his cards for no reason. You do everything you want. Another